Shalom and welcome everyone. I'm Justin James Garcia and this is
Garcia.
As always, we want to bring you this weekly summary, just to summarize all the radio shows, all the projects we've been working on in this past week. It was an awesome week. We've got 2 brand new books coming down the pipeline. We're just waiting on our proof copies to get here. One of them is from our brother, author Noel J. Hadley. Excited for that second part in his collection. The first one came out just a month ago, and that was The Hidden Hand of Camelot. This one is It's Only Murder If They're Dead. Really interesting, looking at all of these inside jobs and conspiracy realities, and I guess this one goes a little bit into all the celebrities who died and the politicians who were assassinated who were found to not actually have been killed or died at all. So really interesting just to kind of look behind the pictures of how all of these, psychodrama is what he calls it, right? All the drama has unfolded and how it really has been utilized to shape the masses. How interesting how all of that connects. So second one, my dad has been working with our sister CJ Austin. It's The Earth, Not a Globe. Anything you can tell us about that book?
It's another part of the ongoing series of authors and people that were prominent in the 1800s that stood for biblical cosmology and that argued against the accepted notion of the Copernican worldview. And they were very eloquent, and many of them were also very knowledgeable with scripture and even some of the extra biblical books, and also other authors and speakers that were part of the community. And so there's a lot of information to be gleaned from these manuscripts, and our sister CJ Austin has brought forth 3 of them. There is a bonus edition to the one that we are releasing with Earth, Not a Globe. And then we'll be releasing Gerard Hickson's second book, The World as It Is, or As It Was. And it's also a very interesting manuscript. That one should probably be out within a week or 2 as well. I think they're gonna bless especially those of you that are still hardcore in wanting the information that is out there. These books are not found in publication. You can't find them in print, and so you're going to have an opportunity to read them in a print format and to examine the information to be gleaned from them. So
yeah, if you're like us, you're probably really interested in building up a library. So this is just, one section of your library that is continually getting larger, and that's awesome. It hasn't been published before, and a lot of these books are just kind of lost and nobody's really aware of them. So seeing them come to print form, and Sister CJ, we really appreciate your efforts in finding these things and putting them together and formatting them and editing them to prepare them for modern day English consumption. Really awesome projects that are coming down the pipeline. Last project I'll mention is the second part of Prophecy for Children. The first one was Prophecy for Children, Enoch's Vision. This one is going to be called Prophecy for Children, The Divine Order of Creation. I'm so excited. If you are a patron at patreon.com/Sacred Word Publishing, please go there, check out our posts. One of our most recent posts was actually the sketch for the cover, and I think it's really awesome. Of course, I shared it there because I would love your input as we go through to develop the next illustrations that are going to be inside of the book. But just to give you a quick rundown of the concept for the cover, it's the seasons that are broken up, and it's Enoch and the lion that are walking by this river, and the river changes, so on the cover, it's winter and spring. So you get to see that big shift from the cold into the spring. And I think that the whole concept is just really, really beautiful. On the backside, of course, you got summer and fall, so you get to see that change there as well in the seasons. And the whole concept from Enoch chapters 2 through 5 is Enoch's being told, look at creation, observe the earth, the luminaries, how everything has this preordained path, and none of them go astray from their path. But then look at man. Why is mankind going so far astray from what we were called to do? So that is going to be an interesting concept to bring forth. So of course I'm going to share some of that latter part, but I have to make it child friendly. You know, I don't want to make children feel guilty or anything. I just want to encourage them to see, you know, you were called to walk on a narrow path and you'll be blessed, you know, just like everyone that has come before you was blessed walking that path, and we know we have an eternal promise. How awesome is that we're able to share that information and instill it in our children while they're still young. And, you know, prayerfully, we're told that if you raise them up on the right path, they'll never stray away. And prayerfully, that'll be the case for Eliana. We're excited to continue this series of prophecy for children. Please let us know if you have any suggestions, ideas. We appreciate all of your support for all of the books that we put out. It's awesome to be able to share and read with you all and hear your feedback. So moving on into the actual radio shows that we had this week. For Wednesday night, my dad was joined by an author and also dear brother, W. Kent Smith. He is the author of Tales of Forever, and most recently, his newest book that we put out was Fish Tales from the Belly of the Whale. And this was 50 misconceptions, 50 of the greatest misconceptions blamed on the Bible. So this was a really awesome show. Anything that stuck out to you from that show?
Yeah, you know, again, the majority opinion and how I teach so many things that are contrary to that. Kent does bring forth a lot of that information also in his manuscripts and in his new book. And so it's interesting to reconsider, and then he has the sources to back his opinion and give people a closer look at what are largely assumptions. You know, people don't really know with certainty as to what the Bible teaches because they don't read or study it. And a lot of the people that are leaders out there are leading the blind and blind themselves. And so it's insanity, it's craziness. So
yeah, the traditions of men that have been passed down throughout the ages, there's a lot of heresy and just incorrect doctrine that has made its way into mainstream philosophy, mainstream theology, mainstream science, of course. But this focusing on the Bible, it was a real joy to hear a lot of the topics that he was able to bring forth. And I'm actually really excited to get a copy of his book because he has done a lot of great research, and I really appreciate the perspective that Brother Kent brings forth. So thank you, brother, for joining. And if you'd like to check out that show, you can check out all of these shows at youtube.com/Garcia. Also in the description box below this video, there will be links to all the shows that we did this week. So moving on to Thursday night, we had another great brother, Rob Skiba, join my dad on Truth Frequency Radio for the continuation of the Genesis Revisited series. Another amazing show. Anything that you'd like to bring forth from that one?
it's always an awesome and an honored pleasure to join Rob in the community and to be able to share our thoughts on the scriptures as we read and go through them. Just new and incredible insight every time, and I think that the series has been blessing a lot of people, and the books that we incorporate, which most people have never heard about, even just the Targum, which I read from, and then the Jasher and Jubilee accounts, and then the Legends of the Jews and others that we also incorporate. This material is elucidating a lot of what is largely ambiguous and with regard to the mainstream community, and so it's nice to be able to elaborate in ways that are blessing people. Even Rob talked about just a few weeks ago how the testament of Job really blessed his life, and that the whole situation and scenario behind that, to have greater insight on that it really helped him to understand that it wasn't just a callous event for Job to have been tested, but that he had foreknowledge beforehand, and that he agreed and even accepted the challenge, and because of that was blessed by it.
Yeah, really interesting to hear how all the puzzle pieces fit together. And speaking of how the puzzle pieces fit together, on Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we finished up with the Digital Readers Club our Testaments of the Patriarchs and Prophets study. So that was an amazing study. We basically went through the entire book for the last few months, and this last Saturday, we finished off with the Ascension of Isaiah, part 2. So that was an amazing study. We went all the way from the Testament of Adam through the Testaments of all the various patriarchs, all the way to Isaiah now. And it was such a really touching story, just seeing how Isaiah was taken up through the layers, the 7 layers of heaven above the firmament, and how he saw how the angels were on the right and on the left, and then he saw this throne, and he saw the Most High, and he saw the Christ, and he saw the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
How amazing is that picture that we see there? And then he's given a prophecy of how the Messiah would come down into the world, and how he would be born of a virgin, how he would be crucified, how he would be betrayed by his own people, and it was like really interesting to see how they kept everything a secret. Right. Even when the Messiah came down through the heavens, like they didn't even recognize him because he made himself like them. And that's exactly what you see what happened on earth. He came as a man, and nobody in Israel, or I can't say nobody, but mostly everybody just didn't know he was anything other than a man. Yes. So how amazing is that now we live in a time where it's been revealed. That full testimony has been revealed. The truth of his coming into the world, his virgin birth, his perfect life, his death on the cross, and his resurrection, and his ascension into heaven. That is sealed in so many testimonies. So reading this testament and the Ascension of Isaiah was an awesome pleasure. Anything that stuck out to you from this book that you'd like to bring forth?
Just that, a lot of people challenge the authenticity because it is seemingly prophetic. But, you gotta remind people that Isaiah was also a blessed witness and was shown in vision and given information which he chronicled in his scriptures, and the prophecies are contained even in the King James, in the book of Isaiah. Numerous passages giving elaborate detail on what Messiah would go through and how he would be betrayed. Even the Immaculate Conception, the virgin birth, all of these things are found therein. And so it doesn't surprise me at all to see something like this, a manuscript, which brings greater detail to the vision and to what he may have seen, found and chronicled and shared and included into the testaments of the patriarchs and the prophets, which I believe people should read and study, because there's a lot of material which you've never heard about and which will bless your life with insight, such as this particular manuscript.
Yeah, and just to give you a quick recap, Testaments means the last words. It was the last words that were given from the patriarchs and the prophet Isaiah to his scribes, or in many cases their children. And these were often very revelatory speeches that they would give right before they died. And it was always, every single one of them contained so much amazing information, and they all do come from different places. Some were preserved in the Greek, some were preserved in the Syriac, in the Coptic, Egyptian. But my favorite part was reading the pieces that were found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I mean, how amazing is that? We have this Greek manuscript of the Testaments of the Patriarchs that was discovered not too long ago in modern history, and for 100 years or so it was called heresy and made up Christian doctrine. But then in 1948, when we found the Dead Sea Scrolls, they uncovered portions of the Testament of Levi and the various other testaments of the patriarchs, and you put them alongside that Greek manuscript that we have, and they read verbatim.
Yeah.
How amazing is that? Because those testaments also were very prophetic, very messianic. So amazing studying through all of these things. Definitely appreciate everyone who does join for the Digital Readers Club. It's a beautiful family that we have of truth seekers. And yeah, this was the end of the testaments of the patriarchs and prophets. So we are putting up a vote to see what our audience, what you guys would like to see next read in the Digital Readers Club. So we have a couple different votes that have already been cast. Some people want to read the Sibylline Oracles, some the Book of the Order of the Ancients. That would be awesome. Not telling you what I'm voting for yet, but please, if you have a vote, throw it down in the comments below. We're definitely tallying those up, and we're going to be taking next week off to prepare for the transition into whatever this next book is going to be. So we will take votes up until next week, and then we're going to solidify and announce what that book that we're going to be moving into next is. So always an amazing time with the Digital Readers Club. It's been a great journey. And after our Digital Readers Club study, we moved into the Biblical Hebrew class. I think this is like our 24th or 25th Biblical Hebrew class. It's been going by so quick. Maybe I exaggerated a little bit, but there's been so many of them now. It's really amazing. And this one was really interesting because Brother Noble normally spends the first hour of Biblical Hebrew class going through review and then covering new language study. And then he goes into Noble story time and shares some portions from the Torah or the New Testament, or even some video from the Chosen series, and discusses that and actually goes into some of the deeper Hebrew and brings forth some hidden meanings or deeper meanings and revelations that are associated with those things. So always appreciate that. It's always a lot of fun. But this weekend, this past Saturday, we actually had a different brother that joined, and he was actually speaking on holistic medicine. And so we gave him the second hour of the class. He gave a really great presentation and brought forth a ton of information that for many people can be life-changing. And hearing Sister Lisa's testimony of how she's coming off of the mandated medicines that the hospital system gives to her in opiates or opioids, and trying to transition into a holistic remedy for all of the pain that she goes through is amazing. To actually see success in that, to not have to be reliant on the medical establishment, is huge. And I think that it would be a blessing to many. If you would like to check that out, it is in the second hour of the Biblical Hebrew class. Make sure you don't skip through the first hour, because there's a lot of great information there as well. So that's it for the shows, for the books that were released. Last update for our ministry is in the Endeavor Freedom Orphanage. If you didn't get to check out that post that we posted, we did give an update on the Endeavor Freedom Orphanage, how all the land that is there is now being utilized by the poor farmers in the area, the landless farmers and the poor, so that they can come on and sow all the seeds that they have. And we're not, charging anything for that. They're actually giving education to the children. The children are having fun in the mud, in the sand, and, toiling in the soil and watching things grow. It's beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful landscape on the sides of the mountains in Myanmar. But before now, it was kind of wild. There's a bamboo forest next to us, and we just have a ton of grass and weeds and random things. But now it's all cultivated, and there's rows of corn and rows of all these wonderful plants and crops that are going to feed families there. And how amazing is that? Within this past, it's been 6 months now in 2021. So we've had this orphanage for 6 months, and we've already secured land. We have a home, a shelter for the children there, so that they can escape everything that's going on in the cities and from the poverty that they come from. And now we're also opening up to the poor of the community. This is going to be so impactful, and I'm so excited because, of course, everything that's done there is glory to the Most High, praising to our Father. And it's a Christian mission because everything is done in the name of Christ. And that is the most important part. The children pray, they praise, they learn psalms, and they're really growing in relationship and in knowledge of the Most High. And they themselves are missionaries as well when they interact with the children in the villages around them and with the elders that are in the villages around them. I feel that this is truly a fruitful tree that is growing in that land. So lastly, I have a request for prayer. Our brother Nalgong is finally able to move from India back over to Myanmar. So we've been waiting for that COVID lockdown to finally end, and it finally has. So he's going to be traveling through the jungle and walking for 4 to 5 days on foot to try to get back to Myanmar. Preferably not just try, but actually get there. So we would love your prayers to cover him. And of course, we just pray that the Most High would guide him, make his way straight, and protect him along the way. So we appreciate all your support and all the efforts with the Endeavor Freedom Orphanage. Please don't miss out this coming week. On Monday, we have our AMA with Dr. Joy. On Tuesday, we have our patron-only AMA. If you are a Leviticus level or above patron, please check out patreon.com/sacredwordpublishing. Then the link to the AMA will be posted up in there. And yeah, it's going to be an awesome week. Wednesday, I'm going to be joining with my dad for our monthly current events and Bible study. And Wednesday night, my dad's going to be joining with Rob Skiba at midnight to continue their Genesis Revisit series. So we have a busy week coming up. Also, our newsletter is getting ready to come out. So if you haven't subscribed for the newsletter, please go to sacredwordpublishing.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page and hit that sign up button. It'll take you to a link where you can sign up for the newsletter. You can get great deals. You can get more updates. But yeah, it's been an awesome time. Thank you so much for joining us for this weekly summary. I know it's been quite an extensive summary. We did have a lot going on. So yeah, it's always exciting to be able to share with y'all. If you have any suggestions for the Digital Readers Club, again, if you have any suggestions for books that you would like to see coming out, radio show topics that you would like to see us discuss, please leave a comment below. We'll definitely be checking those out. We love you all. And yeah, shalom.
Shalom.